Quadraphonic audio in 2023? Hell yeah.
Channel 33, RPM.
So if you haven't heard, Rhino recently released 4 quadraphonic albums on Blu-ray audio discs. I picked up Black Sabbath Paranoid and AlIce $1 Billion Babies. These are only available online as far as I know. The Rhino store has them for $24 US. I bought these two from Warner's Canadian online store. So, big question is, what is quadraphonic audio? Basically, it's 4.0 surround sound. You get 4 audio channels with signals sent to 4 speakers, each placed in a corner of your listening space. Quadraphonic audio was introduced back in the 1970s, but it was essentially a flop. There weren't a lot of releases, and you needed special equipment, including a 4-channel audio decoder, which was built into some receivers of the day. It was all very expensive, and as I said, it was basically rejected by the average consumer. Quadraphonic albums were released on reel-to-reel, vinyl, and 8-track. You can still come across these once in a while out in the wild, but they definitely are hard to find, and they don't come cheap, especially the big titles like, say, Pink Floyd, Black Sabbath, Alice Cooper. You get the drift. For quadraphonic records, to get the full effect, you needed a special needle. I have no idea how readily those are available nowadays. Again, that's why I was super excited when Rhino reissued Black Sabbath Paranoid and AlIce Cooper $1 Billion Babies, again resurrecting the whole quadraphonic audio thing, or quadio. That's a good term. They call it quadio. Quadraphonic sound, or quadio, is a lot easier to achieve now because many of us already own 5.1 or 7.1 system. Quad uses just 4 of those speakers, 2 fronts and 2 rears. There's some more information on Rhino's website. It says here, available for the first time in nearly 50 years, transferred from the original half-inch 4-channel masters. The Blu-ray comes with 192/24 resolution quadraphonic, as well as high-res stereo mixes. Okay, all sounds good so far. Then it says quadraphonic sound, or 4.0 surround sound, like we talked about, utilizes 4 channels connected to 4 speakers positioned at the corners of a listening space. The multi-tracked audio is mixed dimensional, okay, immersing the listener in an expansive soundscape. I read all this and I was immediately intrigued. That's why I ordered them. These arrived fairly fast. I'll just show them to you. They come in these cases. I think you typically see these on the high resolution CDs, that kind of thing. I think some Japanese CDs might come with them as well. There's a little latch. You got to press it to open them. I wish all CDs came like this because these cases are really, really nice. And they only come with 1 disc. So on this 1 disc, you have the 4.0 quad mix, and you also have the 2-channel stereo mix. Can't believe I bought these again. I've lost track of how many times, for example, I bought Black Sabbath's Paranoid. It says the Blu-ray was mastered using the original 4-track quad mixes as the source material. The original format of the master was a 4-track half-inch analog tape running at 15 IPS. Then it has some instructions here saying basically if you have small speakers, turn the bass management on. If you have large speakers, you don't really need it. Then it says, now enjoy some quadio. I love that term, quadio. Here's the AlIce Cooper. I was almost going to call this a CD. I may have called this one a CD. Blu-ray, just so used to saying CD. Again, it's familiar packaging. If you own the CD, you've seen all this before. Yeah, just some credits. A bit of a reproduction of what was in the album. I have a photo of the master tapes. So, question is, of course, how did these sound? In one simple word, I will say they sounded amazing. I took some notes here while listening. The sound was crystal clear, clean, and all-encompassing. That's the thing I noticed most, and I was most impressed by, is just the sound was all-encompassing. It's kind of like you were sitting, I was going to say in a concert hall, but it's more than a concert hall, because if you're in a concert hall, the band is there. It's kind of like the band is jamming all around you. It's really, really cool. So again, in terms of listening, I used my home theater. That consists of a pair of Fluence XL F towers in the front, as well as some JBL speakers in the rear. For my receiver, just again, my home theater receiver, it's a Yamaha RX-V485, this is all middle of the road equipment, right? Nothing super fancy. And to play the Blu-rays, I use my Xbox One, because that's how we play all the Blu-rays in this house. All right, let's get into some details, starting with Black Sabbath Paranoid. Listening to this, I heard things I hadn't noticed before. It was really, really cool. Like, for example, you can hear a shaker or a tambourine, something like that during Paranoid. You can also hear piano playing whole notes. notes during the outro solo to Planet Caravan. Overall, I thought Tony's guitar was more present. The bass and drums are punchier. They had more punch. For example, the bass drum in Iron Man, if you crank it up, man, that hits you right in the gut. Standout tracks for me were Iron Man, Fairies Wear Boots. Obviously, I'm familiar with this album inside and out, but the mix on those two tracks was exceptionally good. If I had one complaint, it's that at times Ozzy's vocals seem kind of distant and kind of quiet, but that's a small complaint, but that was probably most noticeable in War Pigs. But again, this album sounded amazing. And a side note, at the end of War Pigs, on the version we're all familiar with, it kind of speeds up at the end. It doesn't have that sped up effect on this particular version. Okay, what about Alice Cooper, $1 Billion Babies? A classic album, and I've realized over the years a lot of people are not familiar with this album, but there's one Alice Cooper album you have to hear. It's definitely $1 Billion Babies. This album was produced by Bob Ezrin, which means there's a lot going on musically. Quad audio gives a nice separation to the instrumentation so you can hear more of what's going on. Like Sabbath, it's clean and crisp. Doesn't have the balls or bottom end of Paranoid, but it does sound very, very good. In terms of tracks, the title track, $1 Billion Babies, sounds exceptional. Particularly the part, where you hear the vocals coming from the different channels. It sounds awesome in quad. And I Love the Dead. It sounds amazing. I mean, generally I find that song to be a masterpiece. It's part pop song, part show tune, and 100% twisted.
Channel 33, RPM.
One thing I wanted to mention is that there have been versions of that quad mix of Paranoid released over the years. There was one a couple of years ago where it was the quad mix mixed down to stereo, which was kind of odd. And there's this one. This is the Black Sabbath Paranoid Deluxe Expanded Edition. It includes a 5.1 version of the quad mix. And it is true 5.1 where all 5 channels are working. And I gotta say, the new Blu-ray version compared to the DVD surround mix, this one is a world better. This one is all-encompassing. This one to me was more of a novelty. It just didn't strike me the same way. It's still cool to hear, but this version, the new version on Blu-ray audio, a million times better. Given all this, I think there's a lot of potential here and a lot of opportunity to release more of those original quad audio mixes on Blu-rays. I recognize it's going to be a completely niche thing, but it is a very cool niche thing. And I was looking online, there are a lot of really classic albums that came out in quad audio back in the 70s, including a bunch of Aerosmith albums, some Clapton stuff, Deep Purple's Machine Head, Janis Joplin, Pearl, Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, Santana, a bunch of others. I'm not sure how many of those have been reissued on Blu-ray audio, but man, there's a total untapped market here because, as I said, so many of us now have Blu-ray players and 5.1 or 7.1 home theaters, and these just sound fantastic on them. I can't say enough about them, so I will stay tuned. Hopefully we can see more of this stuff from Rhino and other companies. All right, 33 years quad audio, surround sound. What do you make of all this? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks a ton for watching. I'm going to leave a link to a video on the screen I think you are going to dig. You should check it out. I'll see you there in a couple of minutes. Till then, keep on spinning records and CDs and Blu-rays and all that good stuff. See you again real soon.